I've been having some conversations with a couple of different group chats that I'm in over the last few weeks, and I've said so many times on this show, on other shows on this network. I'm sure I've said it on Grid Tonight at some point over the years. I've said it in those group chats before that I firmly believe in the validity of a full season, 36 race tally of season-long points to determine a champion. I'm not a fan of resets. I'm not a fan of stage racing or stage points, even though that's kind of a separate discussion. Playoff points carrying over, trying to explain this to the casual fans that this system supposedly chases. I just think it's all over the top. And I think the easiest and most simple to understand way of crowning a champion in a sport like auto racing is to tally up all the points at the end of the year. Whoever gets the most points, or whoever wins the race gets the most points, all the way down to last place getting the fewest. Whoever has the most points at the end of the year, they're your champion. Apparently this opinion is not widely shared throughout much of the media personalities in this sport, or the fans in this sport. You've been on NASCAR Twitter over the last 12 years that we've had this format. You certainly have seen those discussions, or probably been a part of those discussions as well. But I've always said that as strongly as I believe in the full season, I am willing to come to the negotiating table because I try to be a realist. I understand that those days are gone. Can we at least get back to a 10-race chase like we had from 2004 to 2013? Can we at least do what it sounds like they are strongly considering, and that is make the final round multiple races, so that it doesn't at the very least come down to a single race? Anything would be better than what we have now, where you take 4 drivers and it comes down to one race. So that means if you have an engine failure, or if you get taken out by a lap car, or if you cut a tire and hit the wall, your entire season rides on something that is liable to happen in a sport as chaotic as auto racing. I'm not a fan of that. But I've been willing to compromise. I've been willing to say, hey, 10-race chase seemed popular. It's better than what we've got. If we can take that, I will happily do so. Over the last couple of weeks, I've seen interactions like this. This is a tweet I saw right before we came on the air here. Moody talking about others being predictable after using the standard shill, perform when it matters response. And I try not to call the Dave Moody's and Daniel Trotters of the world shills, because they are certainly entitled to their opinions, but this is so incredibly ironic to me. This is Opinions on NASCAR tweeting Christopher Bell's finish in the Cup Series playoffs. 29th, 7th, 1st, 6th, 3rd, 8th, 7th, 7.44 average finish in 9 races, better than all 4 of the Championship 4 title contenders. And then he sarcastically, to borrow the phrase from Mamba Smith, says, can't believe he didn't perform when the lights were the brightest. Dave Moody was not tagged in this tweet as far as I can tell. It had to come across his feed because it was retweeted often enough or liked often enough. Moody replies to this tweet and says he obviously did, but others performed better. All right, fair enough. What does Opinions on NASCAR William have to say here? Average finish in the 3-race final round. Bell, 6.0. Larson, 11.0. Briscoe, 14.0. Hamlin, 20.0. Byron, 20.67. Quote, performed better. Laughable, he says. Instead of attacking the argument, Moody goes on the personal attack and says, absolutely predictable. Your reaction, I mean. Like I said, very, very ironic that Dave Moody would call somebody else's response predictable, because I can't say I'm surprised that that's the direction that Dave Moody decided to go here. But it is just absolutely unbelievable to me that we continue to have these conversations year after year, and the people within the sport, again, they are entitled to their opinions just as much as anybody else is, but they either can't or won't attack the arguments from the side that I happen to be on in this conversation here, arguing, if not in favor of a full season, at least something other than what we have now. And instead of attacking the argument, they call the response predictable. Or in the case of Daniel Trotta, they say, we want to take the sport backwards. We don't want to move forwards. We want to take the sport backwards. And again, you want to talk about taking the sport backwards, just go take a look at the ratings, particularly this year in the playoffs, and tell me which direction we're exactly moving in that regard. But this is why I have decided as of the last few weeks, I'm done compromising. I'm done compromising. And I hate, excuse me, and I hate to say it, but when this is the response that we get from people like Dave Moody, people that, again, either can't or won't argue against the arguments that we're putting forward, it shows me that we can't have a conversation in good faith. And if that's the case, then what is the point in trying to come to the negotiating table and trying to bargain and trying to say, well, I want this, but I'll take this, I'll accept this. I already, as I've said, firmly, strongly believe in the validity of 36 or bust. And so that is, even though it's always been the hill that I'm willing to die on, now a hill where I'm not even willing to compromise. So I look forward to seeing what this playoff committee decides. I look forward to seeing what happens next year. I think based on what we are hearing, we are almost certainly going to get some sort of change in our postseason format and how we crown our champions. But I'm going to tell you right now, straight up, if you think that a 4-race final round or a 10-race chase is going to shut me up next year, and obviously what we do next year is going to look a little bit different, you and I, Brandon, but I'm confident that we will be having these conversations next year in some capacity. If you think that I'm going to be satisfied or that I'm not going to be talking about this as passionately as I have been for the last several years, then you got another thing coming. That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, Ben, well done there. You would think you would think that would be concrete evidence enough from opinions on NASCAR. I would suppose, I mean, it's not even down to an opinion anymore. I mean, you either can say something about the concrete mathematical numbers of Bell having a better average finish in the final 3-race round. 6, last time I checked, is lower than 11, 14, 20, or 20.67. Now, that, again, all the respect for whoever's behind opinions on NASCAR, all respect for the Godfather Dave Moody. And they're all entitled to their opinions, in my opinion. But the one common thread I've seen from official NASCAR brass is that this is one of the untouchable arguments. It's one of the untouchable areas from a certain core group, and I think they'll deny it. This is not I could call this a conspiracy, but they will deny it openly. But if there's one common thread between Mr. Dave Moody, Daniel Trotta, and all of that, the Sirius XM NASCAR radio clan, and everyone around that stature, it's that they will not give, they won't give many positive opinions, if at all, on that subject. And it's puzzling. Why would they all not do it? And the only place I ever find some real conversations about it is with the Dale Jr. download on Sirius XM. At least they will actually have conversations about it. Now, the conversations are happening on X. I mean, you can find how Jeff Gluck's opinion has changed over this season alone. But it's just I have all the respect for these folks in these positions and their opinions. But when it comes down to mathematical numbers, I at least would like to hear at least I admit you've got a point, but just go ahead and say it. I like this format better. And just say that. That's all. No personal attacks.
Yes, and listen, we have Matt White is on grid tonight, and been talked after the race at Kansas. Like, you don't get that finish without the playoffs. You don't get the Hail Melon without the play. Like, he likes them, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But the difference between Matt White and a Dave Moody or Daniel Trotta is, I think Matt, I want to completely speak for him here, but the impression that I get is that he is at least open to understanding where I'm coming from and understands why I'm not a fan. And that's more the issue for me. It's not like, of course, Daniel Trotta is entitled to her opinion. Dave Moody's entitled to his opinion. Pete Pistone is entitled to his opinion.
But at that stature, it's a major conflict of interest if they have strong opinions against the sanctioning body in which they are employed by in some capacity or another. And that's just what it comes down to.
It definitely is. But I mean, again, my main issue is that you seem, again, either you can't or you won't at least understand why I don't like the system that we have. You can't accept that a reasonable, sensible person can look at this and say, I don't like that it comes down to one race, or I don't like that, it incentivizes, all the drama that we had last year with the team orders and everything. Or, I mean, again, I'll pull the stats back up here. Christopher Bell has the average finish, but and quite honestly, your three lower, Larson got in on points. He has the second best average finish. Your three race winners in this round, Briscoe, Hamlin, and Byron, they've got the three lowest. So winning makes those numbers irrelevant, right? They won in this round. That's all that matters. They automatically advance. And yet, in the exact same system, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, Carson Kvapil has never won a race in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Daniel Hemrick edition.
Has never won a race in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They don't have to win Phoenix. Riley Herbst won last year. Justin Allgaier finished second. Like Matt Crafton.
We're points racing, Ben.
They don't have to win the championship. They have advanced to the championship for not only never winning this season, never winning ever in their careers.
We don't have to win when it matters in this scenario. We just have to finish better than the other person. Oh, wait, that's points racing. Isn't that what we're trying to avoid?
And again, I talked about this, after the Roval, the greatest irony in a system where winning supposedly matters above all else. Man, SVG stopped the field. He won by 15 seconds. And as soon as he crosses the line, no footage of the cool down lap, no footage of the radio celebration on the team already. We've got two boxes, and one's showing the battle for 13th and one's showing the battle for 20th, or whatever the heck it was. Points racing. You got your 1 point to the good. You got to get it. Or you're 1 point behind. Ross, you got to pull the Hail Melon 2.0 and completely dive into the last chicane. You got to get it for whatever it was, 18th. I mean, it's just that. And that's what you say we're trying to avoid by not having a season-long championship. Oh, he just had to finish 18th. Well, what do we have here?
Well, Dave Moody is on record. He's on
round of 8.
He's on record for saying the fans begged and pleaded whenever they changed to how they are now that they were tired of their driver having a good points day. He's kind of shifting the blame back to the fans. Well, this is what you asked for. You hated what we had, allegedly. So they changed things. And I wasn't around as heavily at the time when it was changed, but I have all good reason to believe that's what the outcry was from the fan base, because I know this fan base enough to know that whatever they have, they don't like. So that's nothing new.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. You're gonna I'm well aware that there will be people you're gonna see it if we do this. If we go back to a full season, somebody's gonna have a year like Corey Heim and Connor Zilch are having in Xfinity and trucks, and they're gonna clinch the championship a few weeks early. Great, good for them. I don't have a problem with that. I know there are going to be some fans out there that are like, well, that kind of takes the drama out of it. And again, if that's your opinion, that's fine. But you have to know, if you're the people making these decisions, that you are not going to please everybody. And again, I think trying to chase that perfect answer, that perfect solution that's going to satisfy absolutely everybody in the sport, you're saying, oh, well, if we do this, then we're going to have people complain. People are always going to complain, yep, right?
Always.
Trust me, I've got a million things that I would change if I were king for a day, as Ricky Craven said last year. And I could just snap my fingers. Trust me, overtime would be gone, stages would be gone. I'd probably revamp a lot of, I don't have a business degree by any means, but I haven't been a fan of what the charter system has done to some of the smaller teams over the years. But
I would blow the budget with big motors, small blade.
Yeah, I mean,
We'd have no money left, but we'd have some great racing.
yeah, probably rework it. Like, I mean, again, this is not the only issue that I have with the sport right now. There's rules packages and all sorts of stuff. But this is you're going to look back in the history books and you're going to see who the champion was on an annual basis. I mean, this to me is the most important hill that I'm going to die on here. And any other year, it would be the most important piece of off-season news. We do kind of have a lawsuit going on right now that, it continues.
It'll continue on into Christmas.
Yeah, come out about it. Yeah, I think there's another hearing today. I don't know. I haven't followed that as closely because, again, I don't have a law background, and a lot of legal speak just goes over my head. And I know not to inject myself into a discussion where I'm not as educated. I don't know as much of the terms of what I'm talking about here. But, I mean, again, I think you look at, and you even saw it, I think, I forget when he made the bots comment, but I believe that was Mike Ford, right? Mike Ford says, a lot of the noise you hear is just bots on social media. Or people
yeah.
And yet he was the one a few weeks ago that was on, I forget if it was Dale Jr. Download or Door Bumper Clear. It was one of those two, I think. But he said there's this idea that everybody in NASCAR is against the idea of a full 36. There's at least one person, and that would be me. Pete Pistone a few weeks ago saying, well, I could make an argument for or against both sides, to be honest. That is much different than the tune he was singing 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is momentum brewing. The tide is turning in favor of one side of the argument, and yet people trying to argue the other side, they're so predictable. Or let's move the sport forward, not backwards. They want to move it backwards. I hope that NASCAR doesn't listen to them. I'm sorry. It's
just the wrong approach.
I am done compromising with that attitude. 36 or bust, that is the hill that I'm going to continue to die on.
I would rest, maybe not die, but I would rest on getting back to, honestly, my realistic expectation is to come back to a 4-race, not back to, but to a 4-race championship 4. I really think that's all they're willing to move right now, and we're going to have to be okay with that, but we'll probably find some flaws in determining the champion in that way too, because it's a small sample size still.
Well, and again, I understand that, and I will, again, of course, I would prefer anything over what we have now, but you start moving back from what we have now, and you say, we're going to have a 4-race final round here. Well, you're already, and Brock Beard, I think, has made this point on his streams too. You're already moving back in the direction that says, well, you have to have a points tally over multiple races. And maybe we decide 4 is still too small of a sample size. So then we say, okay, we'll go back to the 10-race chase. You just keep trending in that direction. What you are doing, I think, perhaps unknowingly, is admitting that
you are wrong. You were wrong.
The best way to tally up.
I've been saying it since the show started that love NASCAR to death, but as a business, one thing they cannot do is admit when they are wrong. And I guess it's not good business to do that, but I've yet to ever see the president to say, like, you know what, that was a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. Now, if you have that example, feel free to leave it in the comments, but I cannot remember a time in changes since 2003 saying, you know what, that was wrong. Let's put it back. It's always keep pressing forward. I like what we're seeing. It was a good, we got our champion, Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting. And I guess Steve O'Donnell's technically the president now with Steve Phelps moving into the commissioner role, but whoever's at the State of the Sport press conference in Phoenix this week, boy, it's going to be very interesting to listen to what those conversations are going to be with the lawsuit going on in the background and with obviously the discourse surrounding the championship format. Will this be?
I know one thing. Yeah. I would not want to be Steve O'Donnell next weekend. That's the last person in the world I'd want to be. So, hope he has some kind things to say. Hope the people interviewing him are going to be kind too. Please keep that civil, because that could get crazy.